All right, sorry, I don't know what just happened there. I lost my wireless connection, but it's come back. So this is day 4 of the Facebook Live Challenge, 13th of Feb 2018. I had a question question from a friend for a family member that she wanted me to give some assistance to. So the scenario was that when do you give a relationship another chance? Particularly if it's further on in the relationship and there are children involved, or even if you're single. How do you determine whether you want to continue that relationship? And it's really hard to do when you are emotionally involved or you don't have other choices. Some people stick in relationships just because they're lonely and they don't have another choice, which isn't very helpful. And I've been in this situation. And hindsight is 20/20, so I've learned a lot from this. So the question was, so what do you do if you and your partner have split or are thinking of splitting? This becomes a particularly difficult decision to make when you start to get older or have children involved. The first thing you really need to do is understand yourself. The first thing you got to do, whether in a partnership or single, is you need to understand yourself. So I'm not a counselor, and I do recommend counseling with a counselor who believes in the family and who believes that the family unit, together, united for each other, will always have each other's back. Okay, so what's the first thing I recommend? You have to know. So this is with anything. You've got to know where you're going. This is you. All right? Let's say this is the other partner or potential partner. You have to have the same destination. You have to be aiming for the same path. You don't have to take the exact same path, but you've got to be aiming for the same thing. And because if you're not, you're continually going to be straying off because you're not headed towards the same place. So what am I talking about there? Particularly, I'm talking about values. You need to find out what you value. So when I was having trouble in my marriage, and then I asked for counseling and got some counseling, the first thing that the counselor did was do a values assessment. You can find them online. There's many of them around. And I recommend just doing this on your own first and looking at what do you value, okay? Looking at your values. All right? What do you value? And in different areas, in your family, do you value family? A lot of people don't really value the family. So you both, if you want to make it work, you both have to value family. Cheating. Or, how can I say? Or monogamy, okay? So do you both believe in a monogamous relationship? Because if you don't both believe in that, that's going to be a huge sticking point. And you'd be surprised at how many people don't believe in that. And I would love for you to look at the research of it, because it does show that the people with monogamous relationships have the most fulfilling sex lives and are most fulfilled and happiest. Physical. You need to look at your physical and health, I should say, values. If one's vegan and one's a meat eater, you're not headed towards the same place, and that's going to be a bone of contention. If one likes to stay fit and the other person could care less, you gotta work those things out. Here's a big one for me: lying. Okay, And it's kind of an easy one to not address, but I value truth, and I value being honest and having integrity. And this you can do with your partner, or even at work. You both have to, particularly this one, you both have to value if you both have to value honesty. And that can be very deceptive. I'll give you an example in that children or friends or work colleagues, they don't do what you say or do what is said. They do what you do, or they do what leadership does. And an example would be, let's say a parent's at home and the phone rings, or their mobile phone rings, and it's someone that they don't want to talk to, and they hand it to their child or someone else and says, tell them I'm not here, all right? Or I'm not available, because they don't want to talk to them. You basically just taught your child or your friend or whoever that lying's okay. And that will actually result in yes, we are syncing, Irene. Thank you. And hello, Tim. Hello, Jocelyn. So basically, you just taught that person that it's okay to lie. And here's the kicker. Because you've taught them that, they'll lie to you. And that's not, and I don't think people understand that or realize that when you teach someone to lie like that, that's teaching them to lie to you. That's not what you want. So other values, I'm still covering values here. Wanting or coveting. What do y'all want? Is one person very content with what they have in their life and very thankful and grateful for that? Is the other person always wanting, the grass is always greener on the other side, and always comparing what they have with someone else, and always wants the better car, and always, it's good to want achievement and to progress and be better and faster and smarter and live more comfortably. That I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about envy. So you need to have an alignment on values with that. Another area that's very important is learning and growth. Are you with a partner or potential partner that values learning and growth and always wants to grow? There are many people out there, I find, that they no longer grow. They'll go get their degree and they'll find their job that they want, and then they're not really growing all that much. Whereas I love to learn new things and I love to grow. And I will do that for the rest of my life. And one thing you do, if you stick around with a partner that is not growing and you're growing, it's going to make it really difficult, because you're going to want to share that growth with the other person. You may potentially outgrow that other person, and that's just the way it is. Another area kind of goes along with lying is stealing. All right, is it okay to steal or not? Some people think it's okay, and others don't. You just need to look at these. You need to address these values, and there's many more, but some of these are the basic ones. Rest or lifestyle, values wise. That's kind of a lifestyle. Are they very socially engaged? They need a lot of social contact. They like to go out a lot, have big groups of friends and like crowds and whatnot. you all need to understand that those values. What else? What else do I have there? Oh, values: stealing, cheating, rest, learning. Oh, and part of the learning and growth is communication. We all change. We all have seasons in our lives. So you have to continually grow. You have to continually communicate. I kind of covered rest and social engagement. Another value you need to determine before you're going to stick within a relationship you're already in, or you're looking to partner with a new one, is sex. You need to kind of determine whether you all have the same sexual drive or not. And men and women are different. I mean, a man's sex drive is physical, or not his drive. I would say his sex organ is physical, whereas, or stimulation, and whereas a woman's primary sex organ is actually her mind and her thoughts and feelings, whereas men, it's more physical and more chemical. And so there's a huge difference there, and people need to understand that. So what am I talking about here in values with sex? It means if someone expects to have sex 2 or 3 times a month, whereas the other person expects to have sex 2 or 3, 4 times a week, that's a huge difference, and that will cause a bone of contention. So the values are one of the most important. Now I want to remind you all, this is something you need to do for yourself, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. The next thing is you need to look at your dreams, your vision, and your mission. You need to write down your wildest dreams, what you really dream about. You need to write out a vision for your life, and you need to write out a mission for your life. Because, sorry, and I'm just going to get rid of this really quick. You need to, like I was saying, you need to have that destination. You need to know where you're going. Because if you want to find a partner that you're going to have a fulfilling relationship with, you both need to be aiming for the same spot, that target. And so this target is your values. Sorry, let me turn around here. Values, your dreams, your vision, and your mission. And I'm not going to go into the details of it. I mean, you could do a whole half-day course on this, or full-day course on this. But you need to write down your dreams, your wildest dreams. Your vision comes from your dreams, and your vision is just taking your dreams and bringing it down to a little bit more realistic of where you are in the season of your life you are right now. Your dreams are long-term, your vision is a little bit shorter term, and your mission will bring your vision and your values into alignment. That means what you're willing to do and not do on your journey to your destination. And then from that, you need to set goals. And there's a lot of goal setting programs out there. I think one of the best, and it's free, is from Zig Ziglar, and I'll put it in the notes here later on. It's a free download online, Born to Win workbook. It helps you set your goals. And he has, on setting goals, he's got a wheel of life. And I'm sure a lot of people have worked on them. You want a wheel that is even around, not one that it's jagged, because otherwise life is going to be a little bit rough. The ride will be a little bit rough, and you need to have certain goals in all areas of your life. So goals on that wheel of life, and Zig Ziglar's one, which I recommend, and I'll give you a free link to that. He's got 7 areas in the goals section, which are personal, physical, family, mental, financial, spiritual, and career. So then you should set goals in each one of those areas. And then you're kind of, this is a little bit of a process, and then you kind of know where you are. You'll find out a little bit about find out about yourself a little bit more. Because I got to tell you, the only person you can change is yourself. You cannot change another person. And if you want to arrive where your values, dreams, vision, and mission and goals, if you want to arrive, here, I'll leave that up there for a little bit. If you want to arrive, I'll put these in the notes on the post too. If you want to arrive at the destination with your potential partner or your spouse, they need to align. Okay, but you need to find them out for yourself first. Then what I recommend you do is a good question to ask a potential mostly a spouse or existing partner, if you're deciding whether to stay together or not, is what's 3 things that they want from you? And you need to think about 3 things that you want from them. This was a huge reveal in my own relationship when I found out that my spouse didn't want anything from me. And basically, if someone doesn't want anything from you, they don't want you either. And so that's a huge indicator. And even I was still blinded to the fact, because I thought, I had my soulmate for life, and I was still trying. But at that time, the counselor recognized that the other party was just not going to work on this, and you got to have both people working on it. If the other party is just not going to work on it, they're just using you until they find someone else, and that was the case in my life too. So find those things out. Okay, if the other person is willing to work on it, then they need to by themselves then go work out their values, vision, dreams, and goals. And I recommend each of you do it separately, because if you do it together, you may compromise, or they may compromise to be more amicable, so that you don't disturb the relationship, so that you can just stay in it until somebody finds something else, or to avoid the conflict. And that doesn't really help anyone. I know. So let's see. So then after you've both done that, and if the other person won't do it, what you can do is, if they won't sit down and write that out, since you've gone through the process, then you verbally sit down with them, and then you can ask them the questions about their dreams and vision and mission and their values, and then you take the notes, okay, if they won't do it. Some people just can't sit down and work on these things by themselves. They need help, and that's a good exercise to help them. But you don't comment on them. Don't put in your opinion, or don't try to guide the conversation. It's got to be from them. If they're still, and it shouldn't be an interrogation. You can ask these questions with stories. So if you value integrity, if you value honesty, I'll give you an example. I value those things highly, but where I was employed previously, they didn't. So you can say, hey, you know, I was working here, and to make a better profit margin on a job, they would put in a lower quality product or less of the quality product specified to make a little bit more money. Well, that's cheating. That's stealing. What do you think they were right in doing that? You know, so you can ask somebody that, and if they say yes, well, then basically you know that they don't value honesty and integrity, and then you can tell whether, without asking directly or confrontationally or in an interrogation manner, whether they value. Because if you ask it in that way, you might get more of the truth than you do if you ask a direct question. And let's see. Okay, so then, oh, what happened to my eraser? So then you want to make the decision of whether you're going to pursue this relationship and work on it together or not, because you've got to align in your destination. You've got to align to that same target, both you and the other person. And here's another little tip, and I'll finish off with this. This was a hard Facebook Live for me because I started overthinking it, and it was probably too long, but that's okay. Last but not least, and this is from the research by Mel Robbins from her book, The 5-Second Rule, which I highly recommend, is that when we are emotionally attached to making a decision, we tend to make the wrong decision. And because we're emotionally attached, or particularly when we're trying to make a decision on something that we do not want to share with family and friends, you need to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and step out, put your ego to the side, humble yourself, and share what you're struggling with your family and friends. Because it's very difficult for you to detach and make a good decision. And there's a caveat there. As long as your family and friends are looking out for what's in the best interest of both parties, and normally their recommendations and on the decision will probably be a little bit more clear. It has, but you know, you need to make sure that the people that you're asking have your same values too, and understand where you want to go. Okay, that was day 4 of the Facebook Live challenge. This one I really struggled with because I was trying to put so much into it, into this. My fear of not being enough, but I finally cut it down. Hopefully it wasn't too long. I thank you all. I hope this is a blessing and will help a little bit. And this principle applies to not just relationships with love relationships with the spouse or a potential partner. This applies to your family, to your work. So I'm starting the Confident Man Club, helping men to become the men they're meant to be. And we're going to have our first gathering next month. And it's going to be a meet and greet. And I wasn't sure really what I thought I needed to do on that meet and greet. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, so I need to, it's going to be a meet and greet. Everybody get together. I was thinking about having a guest speaker. And then I'm like, no, you know what? I've got to set the values for the group. I've got to set the ultimate dream for the group, the vision and the mission, and what I envisioned it to be, right? So I'm going to put those things there, but It's a club. It's a group. I'm just one little part of it, and I'm the initial leader or organizer of it, but it's really the values and the vision and the dreams and the mission of the group. So that's mainly what I'm going to be doing with that first meeting, is telling them that, and then seeing what other values they want, what other dreams they want within that, how they want to get there, what other ideas do they want, because we've got to come together with a shared vision and dream and mission and values to make it really work. You should be doing this at work. You should be setting one for your family and kids. I have a family philosophy and a mission. So you need to have one. Here's a good example. I don't know, some of you may know who David Ramsey is in Entree Leadership. He's the third largest syndicated radio program in the U.S. And he's got over 600 employees now. All employees that go and work for the company, when they get hired, have to write a personal mission statement within 30 days. And they give them a workbook and to guide them through it, just to ensure that that person aligns with the company. And it may seem like a bit of work, but it ensures that they are getting the best people. Ensures that the company can serve them too, and their retention rates are enormous. So I hope this was a blessing to you, and have a wonderful day. In Brisbane here today, it is stinking hot. All right, love y'all. Bye.